good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. I am your host, Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. And you know what time it is, y'all. It is time to bring in guests who are making a significant impact in our world, and they are using the Slay philosophies. That's right. Slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that stands for life and leadership philosophies that resonates with me, and I know it will resonate with you because you are here in the space to be where we are talking about all the high-level conversations that we sometimes don't get to talk about, but this is a space to do it at, and that is all in the vein of staying ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, a sense of family, and knowing you are built to last. So if you are here tonight, please do not be shy. Let us know where you're streaming in from. Give us your name. Give us a little shout out, right? Because we just want to make sure that we welcome you to the show, all right? And that you have a voice because we love to have guests and conversations. Okay, so make sure that you go ahead and tell us where you're streaming in from. Okay, so y'all, tonight I have a slay amazing guest. Okay, and you know how we bring it here. I always seem to find men and women who are in alignment with what Slay to Success is all about. And so I found a beautiful human being. Okay. Recently we were in this cohort for the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Milestone Makers Group. And I just knew there was some sort of flair about the queen that I have brought to you tonight, y'all. So before we get started, everybody make sure you have your cup, your beverage of choice. Okay, now I got water in here because I'm a little bit dehydrated. All right, so I ain't got nothing else funny going on, but if you do, that's your business. All right, so do what you got to do. But please make sure that you have something handy so that way you can stay along for the conversation for a while because we're going to be here for a minute, okay? But let me tell you who my guest is tonight, y'all. Her name is Ria Rai Harris Yarbough, and she was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, to Leon and Elizabeth Harris. She inherited her love and entrepreneurship from her father, who was a real estate investor and a book publisher, as well as an educator. After graduating from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, Ria's career path with that of Cook County Adult Probation Officer for, wait for it, 32 years, okay? And before her retirement from law enforcement, she set the foundation for her entrepreneurial journey and is now a real estate agent, licensed in Illinois and Indiana, and also working in Ghana. She's a published author with her debut, y'all, you know how I'll be talking here, with her debut book titled Girl Bye, 10 Lies Women Think and Tell Themselves About Men, the co-host of the Quintessential Queens Podcast on Intellectual Radio, and the national director of Northern Region of the Beyond Beautiful World Pageant. Okay, all I'm going to say is you're welcome. Okay, that's all I'm going to say is you're welcome. So let me bring my queen to the stage. Hey, Ria.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How you doing? I'm just so happy and thrilled that you are with us tonight on the show. You looking slay amazing. Okay, got the hat
Thank
and
you.
everything, and I love the energy already. So, how was your day today?
Always exciting. First, let me thank you for allowing me to share your space today. I am so excited about this. Today, as a multipreneur, because I hate the phrase serial entrepreneur, it reminds me of serial killer, so I just
Right.
don't use it. So, as a multipreneur, I typically have to time block so that I can accomplish something in each of the fields for that day. So I've been
Yes.
doing that today.
Oh, and you have your own show podcast, if you will, right? And that's where you were at earlier.
Yes.
So you're very familiar with this space and how these things go. And so I commend you for being a multipreneurial because that is the direction that we're going in nowadays. I've been meeting so many women who not only have this the one or the two, they have three, four businesses that they're juggling at one time. And so we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But I do want you to share with my audience a little bit about yourself, kind of walking us through the journey from when you were in Chicago, getting into the law enforcement, career field, and then transitioning. So just give us a little bit of snapshot of what that all looks like.
Okay, sure. When I left to go to college, my thought was that I was going to be a teacher, like both my parents, my paternal grandmother, and a lot of my cousins. My sophomore year, my dad rode down on his motorcycle. He had a motorcycle and had a serious conversation with me. And he told me that the first wave of crack babies had hit the education system in the area. And not the children being the issue so much as the parents. And you know your children and you know their temperament. And he advised that I not follow the career path that I had assumed I was going to pursue. So when I graduated with a double major, one in rhetoric and one in psychology, I really did not know what to do because the rug had been snatched out from under me.
Mm,
And thank God, my mother's friend had a brother who was interviewing for summer jobs through our county government. And I interviewed, got hired for the summer, did well enough that I was kept on through the fall and presented well enough that the director of human resources for the Cook County Adult Probation Department approached me and asked me, did I have a degree? And I said, yes, I do. And told me to apply for the job. And I was hired 3 months, a little less than 3 months after my 21st birthday. So I was one of the youngest probation officers to ever be hired in Cook County.
wow. Wow.
And that's how I wound up in that field.
And so you did 32 years in
Yes.
this particular career field. So what kept you there?
Well, initially, it was not really still having that direction, not having explored my personal strengths, just trying
Mm,
to do what most people around me at that time decided to do, which was a quote unquote 9 to 5.
yeah.
Then by the time I started to get a little tired of it, I had my son.
Mm,
And because I was a single parent by the time he was 2.5, I had to consider A, having stable income, B, having health insurance for both of us. So then it was a matter of work at the county and then figure out what I would like to do and do that after work, which is how I got started exploring entrepreneurial ventures. I spent the last 22 years of my career in domestic violence court. For those of you that are not familiar with that, it's when you are in court because either you are the victim of a loved one, quote unquote, or someone with whom you live being aggressive towards you verbally or physically, or you are the aggressor. And I found that I believe in God. I don't know what everyone else believes in, and I
mm,
don't question that.
right.
God had me there for a purpose
Mm-hmm.
to enlighten people as to other choices, other ways to live. Because I found as a probation officer that in a lot of cases, people had not been literally outside of a mile radius of their childhood home. So
Mm.
they were typically in the same socioeconomic status
Mm.
environment with the same people.
Right.
And to talk with them about life other than this one,
Mm-hmm.
being able to proceed and progress in a different type of reality, being able to express themselves in a manner that is not anger and reactionary, but to slow
Right.
down, think, and then respond, to learn how to just do what some of us consider basic, which is budget your money,
Mm-hmm.
all those types of things, and to be an encouraging factor. I never went to court with the intention, unless it was an extreme case, of seeing someone go behind those bars and not come back. My
Mm.
intention was always to be an advocate and give as much assistance as I could, because my son is now 29 and I would
Mm.
want someone to treat him the way I treated other people's sons and daughters.
Yeah. I asked you that because I often get asked questions like, why did you serve for 30 years in the military? And there is some correlations between military and law enforcement industry, if you will. There's very restrictive in some cases. There are some rules that need to be followed. If person did XYZ, this is kind of algorithm that goes into, and and so forth and so on. And they have a hierarchy, and there's a chain of command. So there's a lot of different uh, conversations that I've had with people who are always interested in, well, why'd you stay? What was pulling you there to stay for so long? And in the military, you can retire at 20, and then you can be on your way. So to be able to stay 10 more years and be like, okay, what's going on with that? But similar to you, seeing the need, right? Seeing that you were there for a purpose. God had planted you there so that way you can impact lives of people that may have not otherwise interacted with you. So that way they have the ability to see something a little bit different for themselves. So I absolutely commend you on that, and congratulate you on that, because sometimes they don't see the value of having a person's in that kind of a field for a long time, dealing with the things that you have to deal with. It's a lot of intensity, I could already imagine, in the work that you did. And then you said that you started to go on your entrepreneurial journey. So we're going to go into that as to how that kind of happened. I'm just going to welcome in our guest that just came in. And so, of course, Mia said, yes, Mia. So I was just at an event with Mia. And so we were in person. So, yes, this is how we do. We just keep on slaying. It ain't the end of the day yet. All right. So, Mosaic Sparks is in the building. They're viewing in for YouTube. So, thank you so much. I know the founder, Leslie George. So, thank you so much for viewing in tonight. And she also said that hat is everything. Okay.
Thank
And I already
you.
said
Thank
that too.
you.
I was like, that's just given in here. I just love it. I love it. Okay, so you did go into this entrepreneurial journey, but before we get to that conversation, I like to like I like to ask about leadership principles, philosophies, if you will, and what you've learned over your time in law enforcement that you could speak to give our audience another way of thinking about leading.
For me, and a lot of times my parents, because I have no siblings,
Mm.
kind of had a different kind of parenting style for me.
Mhm.
And one was that I was allowed to not speak freely as if we were equals, but
Mm-hmm.
I could have conversations with them that a lot of my friends could not. So
Mm,
I had always learned to state my opinion, whatever that opinion was, and have dialogue about it. If you didn't agree, let's talk about where we're coming from on different levels and different vantage points. And maybe you'll say something that interests me and intrigues me enough to explore it, and vice versa. But
right.
the one thing I would tell them at the county is that the unit had a supervisor. My supervisor was Jesus.
Mm,
So I'm
mm.
following that reality. You all can
Right.
follow the management. And I'm cool with that.
Right.
But I've always, once I became really mature
Yeah.
as a person, followed what I felt God showed me to do in
Mm-hmm.
prayer, or even instantly. If there was something that had to be addressed instantly, I trusted that what He gave me to do is what was supposed to be done.
Right.
And that's how I
Yeah.
operate in leadership. I don't feel that as a leader, you have to be a tyrant. I don't feel that you have to be a micromanager. I feel that you have to be the example
Hmm.
of what you expect to see.
Right. You look, you said a whole word there, because it's true. We look to a person or a title or a position to, adjust to, if you will. And you're like, well, if the first person ain't God, or Jesus in your life, if you will, then what else is happening here? How do you think we've all kind of got here? Derived from that, and like you said, everyone has their own spiritual belief, but I believe in God as well. So I believe that He does give us the words, give us the actions, give us the abilities to move through, you know, challenges that we may be facing, and allow us to do it in such a way where we're attracting people as opposed to repelling people as a leader. So definitely me and you are in alignment with that. And your parents just rearing you, so that you have an opportunity to speak, freely, because I didn't come from that household, girl. I just like, you do as you're told. You over here, you're a young child, you don't know what you're talking about, right, kind of thing. But there was a lot of mouths to feed in our household. So but still, having that awareness, because that doesn't always come into uh our thinking, if you will. It doesn't always come to that, but as you matured, you said it got to where you were like, yeah, okay, I follow the Jesus, my God, and this is how we're going to kind of move through this. So I love that you dropped that gem for all of us to keep in mind, because there are people who are still working, if you will, and there's a lot going on nowadays in the work centers, right?
It is. I actually was supposed to retire the year before. One of my good friends and I were supposed to retire together. And he retired, and I was like, I still have a couple of bills I want to pay. And I kind of want to, I want to make sure my safety net's together.
Mm-hmm.
And God had told me to retire when I was supposed to retire the year before. And I kept, he said, okay, I'm going to set this up so it's so uncomfortable for you that you're going to leave.
Yeah.
And that's literally what happened. I was basically, to make a very long and trifling story short, a manager that I had known for the whole 32 years I had been there made it so that I felt like my character was being attacked.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a problem for me personally. I'm like, I do enough stuff
Mhm.
that I'm gonna have to answer to God for. I don't need you to add any extra lies and BS with it.
Nope.
So I had gotten so angry about it, because that's something, like I said, for me, that's a really big issue, is my personal integrity and my name.
Mhm.
That I had come to work after being pissed all weekend. I was stewing about it all weekend. That happened on a Friday.
Mhm.
And my hands were tingling. I was like, that's weird.
Oh,
And then my head started to hurt. Now I'm still at work attempting to read on my computer. Then my vision got blurry. I said, hold on, let me go downstairs. And I went to the sheriff's office and I said, hi, do you have a blood pressure monitor? He said, oh yeah, we do. It's called an ambulance. Sit
mm.
down. And my blood pressure was 200 over 165. And they were like,
Wow.
we have to take her out of here now. She's in stroke protocol.
Wow.
And as I was literally laying in the emergency room praying for God to spare my life, my
Right.
cell phone rings and it's the HR department for the county. The young lady didn't say, are you okay? Is there anything we can do to help? She said, make sure they fill out this paperwork before you come back to work.
Huh?
And the doctor said, could you give me the phone? Because my blood pressure elevated even more with the call. He said, could you give me the phone? And he said, I don't know who this is. And due to HIPAA, I can't disclose her condition in detail, but I will tell you she's very sick. Don't call her again.
Mm.
And after I had gotten they had gotten my blood pressure down and I had gotten a diagnosis, every time I thought about going back to work, my blood pressure would shoot back up.
Wow.
And so I called the pension board and I said, do I have to give 2 weeks notice or what's the process? They said, you don't have to give any notice. I said, set me an appointment for tomorrow morning. I'll be down there.
Right.
And I never went back to work. I retired the next day.
Wow.
And literally, people that saw me afterwards were like, you look like the weight of the world has fallen off your back. So sometimes I've learned, and I knew then, even though I was pretending like I didn't know, anytime I bucked against the will of God, I've paid a high price.
Mm.
So I don't buck like that anymore. That's the last time I bucked. I don't buck like that. What's it, nothing? If you buck, I don't buck against
Right.
God.
You know, and you said, and we knew, you knew, right? We always
Yes.
know. But
Yeah.
we just be going anyway, just because we think, oh, this is all going to clear up. But then, your health is in jeopardy. And you still thinking, oh, I'm going to come back tomorrow and get this thing done and so forth and so forth. So,
Yeah.
for anyone who's listening in, take it from us. I mean, because I've had the blood pressure issues too, and I knew better. And I was like, all this stress and mayhem that we put upon ourselves, and we thinking, oh, it's going to change, and we don't remove ourselves out of that environment. Just take it from us. We don't want to see anybody, all right, stroking out at the work center, getting into a position where you're like, man, I can't see. I'm blurry vision. He said tingling in the hands.
Yeah, all of that. And to just show you the callousness of a workplace. Some, I'm not going to paint everything
Right,
with a
right,
broad brush.
right, right.
One of our coworkers used to walk on lunch. That was part of his lunch routine.
Mm-hmm.
And one day he went for a walk and he didn't come back. He had had a heart attack and died in the street.
Oh,
They had all of his belongings in cardboard boxes before the end of the day.
that's how they do.
So while you are giving your all, your time, your blood, your sweat, your tears, you are that disposable and that replaceable that before the end of the day, your stuff is in a couple of cardboard boxes for your family to pick up.
And we know that's to be true, because that's what happens in the military too, Queen. I'm just telling you.
Oh, yeah,
We
for
do
sure.
so much. We do so much for everything and everybody else that we don't even stop sometimes to take care of us. And so here on the show, we remind you, okay, this is all is the wellness piece to it. It's not selfish to take care of yourself, especially when you're in environments where people don't really care about what you're doing really at the end of the day. All right. So we've got several comments here already, Ria. We have, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Okay. Tell your plan. I know that's right. Thank you, Kim, for being here. Me and Kim used to serve in the military back in the day. We were in Japan. So thank you so much for being here tonight with us live. And then Mosaic Spark says, incredible story. Thank you. I was just saying last week that people do not realize the trauma the workplace creates.
That's right. And for everyone that's in the military, my grandfather, a lot of my cousins have been in both the Navy and the Army. I
Mm-hmm.
so understand what that looks like and what
Yeah.
that is, and tip my hat to you because everybody can't make it, everybody can't handle it because it's a
No.
lot.
It's a lot. And you go in thinking, I was naive, because I didn't really know. My dad was in the military, but I didn't know what he did all day. So, I go in there, I'm like, oh, this is what it is. Okay, let me try to figure this thing out. I did. All right. But like to your point, you know, there were times in my career where I really saw that I was not taking care of myself the way that I needed to. And anxiety, stress, and all that overwhelm that really can sneak up on you one day and you're not even realizing it. So, again, I'm just so sorry. My condolences to coworker just went out one day, just went walking, just, minding their business, and then they didn't never come back. So, that wellness is so important for us to really be paying attention to, y'all. And you mentioned too about how you just became this person to finally realize I had this transition thing. This is the thing, right? Like I gotta get out of here. And you just said, I'm done. So go ahead. I
No, no,
see you.
no, wait,
Go
no,
ahead.
I'm
No,
waiting
no,
on the
no.
question.
So whatever I invoked, go ahead and say it because I don't know which way we're gonna go, but go say it.
Because I believe that God has given each of us gifts
Yes.
and they're not the same and they may not even be the gift that you thought you wanted. Like I have a girlfriend that crochets clothing and I told her if I could crochet like that, you all wouldn't even know me. I'd be crocheting for the stars somewhere. But that's her gift. I couldn't even crochet Barbie clothes back in the day. So
Yeah.
it's just not my thing.
Not mine
But
either.
when I started to realize between what God was putting in front of me and some of the training that I got from being a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated,
Mhm.
that I had organizational talents. I had big visions
Yeah.
and knew how to put things together. So I initially started out as a wedding coordinator. I got certified in that, but it was not the brides. It was typically the brides' moms that just made it just way too much for me. I'm like, you know
Oh, no.
what? I'm not, I I don't have the patience of Job, and I'm not even trying to work on that right now. So I'm going to fade out on this one. I'm serious. It was just like, oh my gosh. But I knew that there was something I was supposed to do more than what I was doing.
Mm,
And I had to stop listening to the outside chatter and the naysayers and the girl, you got a good government job. What you tripping about? And all of that conversation. And when the word says peace be still, that means a lot in a lot of
yeah.
different ways. I had to literally be still and listen to what he directed me to do. He had given me the words beyond beautiful, and I didn't know what they meant. And I wrote them down. I would look at them periodically, and I figured, well, when he wants me to know, he'll tell me. And he did. He told me to look at the women around me and report back to him what I saw. And I did. I looked at the women around me, I looked at myself, and what I saw was people that showed up for everything, everybody, every time, except themselves. I saw women that played themselves down so that someone else could shine up. I saw women that were miserable, but they were holding on to benefit other people. And I saw women, including myself, that did not ever say, "Girl, you did a good job today. Girl, you did that thing today." And he said, "Okay, great. Now that you've seen that, what do you want to do about it?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "I know. You're going to create a pageant." I said, "A pageant?" Because I used to love to watch them. I did. I was a pageant fanatic. I would watch them, but I had never been in one. Didn't know the particulars. He said, "That's what I'm telling you to do."
Mm.
So over about a year or so, I got a pageant consultant and started putting that together. And when I tell you, it's been the journey of a lifetime, and I'm so excited about it. This is our fourth pageant coming up November 1st and 2nd pageant weekend. We had to slow down when COVID hit that first year. We couldn't do it the year we had anticipated, but we did do it the following year. And one of the fundamentals of the Beyond Beautiful World pageant is the Phoenix Rising testimonial, which is when the ladies tell something that they have either achieved, overcome, or a combination thereof. And the purpose is you are telling someone who's standing on one side of the bridge how to get to the other side through your life story. You are talking to someone that you may never meet because the pageant is aired virtually as well as having in person tickets. After every pageant, when they talk about the beauty and the glam and all that, everyone talks about somebody's testimonial.
Mm.
So this is not your standard beauty pageant. We are not dealing with you have to be a size four, and I'm not besmirching anyone else's pageant system. This is about transforming your literal life and the life of other women. This is a celebration of womanhood. And
Mm.
so this is what excites me because when I tell you that the ladies start out, because I work with them personally on their testimonials,
Mhm.
and a lot of them start out and they're shaky and they're not sure to get to that level of confidence. And I tell them, I said, you don't even understand how powerful you are by what you've had to go through and have come out. You have walked on the flames and have not been burned. You have done the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and you don't even know it.
That's right.
So that was getting started while I was still at the county. I got my real estate license in Illinois and in Indiana while still at the county. I did not start the book until after I left the county, but it had been on my mind while I was at the county. So it gave me that foundational cushion of, well, I got that good government pension now, but
Right.
I still have a life that
Yes.
has a purpose.
Yes. Ria, where is my clapper, y'all? Where is anything in here? Y'all just I'm just gonna like
Thank you. But girl, don't clap for me, child. This
look,
is just hey.
hey, let me just tell you, it, even though you say don't clap, you could have just said, okay, God, that's okay. All right. I'm not going to do that. Right. You listened and then you did. All right. Because it was meant for you to do, for you to carry out. So let me just go on back because it's so much, we are in so much in alignment. It's not even funny. You were talking about the Beyond Beautiful and how you saw other women around you. And I'll tell you, I think between, our minds, the way that we think, the vision that we have is so it's like right on the same journey on the pathway. And I don't know if it's because of the time that we did in service, but what I saw with a lot of women being downplayed, minimized, berated, and in front of a lot of people. And these were capable, competent women
Yep.
that were to the level, high level. And I said, I can't control what's going on in this environment, but when I transition out of the military, any woman that is around me is going to feel as if they are the best thing going. Okay. You will not have anyone to tell you that you can't be, that you're not capable, that you're not competent enough. And it's exactly what you're doing. So when you were saying, hey, this is what I was seeing, and I had to report back to God and let him know this is what I was seeing. And he said, well, create a pageant for you to showcase these women and so they can believe in themselves. I'm like, I need like a whole fan. I need a like the church plate and everything passed around in here.
Let me say one more thing about it, at least one more thing. Something that the ladies learned, most of the ladies, and it was a hard lesson. It was a hard lesson, but it was a real one. Everybody that's in your face is not your friend,
Mm,
because a lot of them were told, because this pageant is for women, the diamonds are 21 to 29, the rubies are 30 to 39, the emeralds are 40 to 49, and the sapphires are 50 and beyond.
mm,
And so these are not children. These are grown women. Our oldest delegate has to date been 57.
mm.
They have been told by their quote unquote family and friends, girl, what you doing that for? Girl, why
Oh,
don't you leave that fantasy behind? Girl, ain't you too old for that? You be tripping. You doing too much. I said, but these are the same people that want you to sit at the club as a barfly on the corner doing too much with a shot in your hand, huh? Yeah?
uh, uh,
Okay. I said, now, once God is exposed who's around you, it's up to you to how you're going to deal with it. I don't police your friends, but I
mm,
am saying you are being exposed to what the truth is about who this person is and how they feel about you. Now it's up to you, that courage to love them from a distance. That's on you.
mm. Yes. We got the comments to support everything that you saying right now. Okay. And I'm going to do it again because guess what? That's what we do in here. First of all, Mosaic Spark says you are preaching and you are. Okay. Charlene, welcome, Charlene, to the show. All right. Because I was waiting to see when you were gonna show. I knew you coming, Queen. So we right at the part where where we get, we gonna get all the juice in here. So facts. All right. And then, of course, Mosaic Sparks says, me and you are not afraid, okay, to move forward in what God has downloaded. All right. And I think it has a lot to do with service. I really do. I'm like, I've had to fight and claw my way up. And I'm like, I can go toe to toe. Okay. So I believe in this. You believe in what you're doing. And so that's why it's successful. You're working on your fourth year, it's successful because that's what happens, right? And Charlene was like, yeah, tell that. Too many backbiting and holding others back, pretending to cheer them on. Yes,
People
and
will cheer you on to do the negative.
yes.
They're I call them Satan's minions. There's a whole bunch of them running around that will applaud you in your downfall, but they will not spit on you if you were on fire for real.
Uh, y'all, everybody should be sharing. Okay, share this out with your friends, with your coworkers, even to the folks that we talking about. All right, maybe they need to hear a little bit about this. Okay, it's always amazing to be here and soak in with you and your guests. Yes, but that's what this is all about. This is about community, supporting one another, people who are like minded. getting into a space and really talking through these issues. Perlissa says, absolutely, this is real talk. We talking in here. And welcome to the show, Perlissa, because you know how we do here, okay? And Charlene says, yepers, we on it. Okay, so Queens, we just started. Okay, we just really getting started. Crabs in a barrel. Crabs in a barrel. It's so true. As we all know, crabs in the buckets, if you will, in the barrel, they want to pull you down once you get all the way to the top because that's just the way it is. And I don't know why we're still doing that kind of thing, but we don't do it in this space, okay? Because we know better. We know better. So, so this pageant, and let me tell you, I got my sash and I got a crown. All right, but I ain't trying to be in the pageant, okay? But I'm just saying. I love the whole dressing up and all that too. But the stories behind it, that's really what I would love to see and hear, right? Is how that impact of, them participating in this journey and how they've came out and broke through. So I love that you added that piece onto it, and that's the differentiator. So that way they can see themselves, like really see themselves.
Not just that, we have something else that is an optional area of competition, which is the Black Pearl Pitch competition. This
Mm,
is for the delegates that either have a not for profit organization or a for profit business or would like to start a not for profit or a for profit business. They literally, 2 weeks prior to the pageant via Zoom, do a 10-minute business pitch to a panel of judges. And the one who scores the highest is awarded funding to either further her business or to start her business.
wow. That's amazing.
Again, this is not for strictly, now listen, I love a good avant garde outfit. Let me not act like I don't. As you can see from the hat, I'm always extra. I'm going to be extra. But this is about foundational building of women.
Mm,
And there are so many entrepreneurs that never get out the gate because they don't know how, they have no support.
eh,
We encourage that through the Black Pearl Pitch. There's so many women that don't recognize how strong they've had to be. And I don't deal with strength so much as I deal with power because I get
yeah.
tired of that quote unquote, oh, you a strong woman. No, I'm a powerful woman. I'm a life changer. I'm a game changer. And they
Yes.
don't recognize that until they start working on their testimonials. We have women that, because of their jobs, don't get to wear beautiful clothing
Mm,
typically. You don't even get to express any femininity because you're in a situation where that's not typical. In some cases, like I said, depending on your job career, it's not allowed, and you don't have the time in your regular life to
mm-hmm.
show you at your highest point. We don't have competitions, so to speak. I tell the ladies, you're not competing against anybody in here. These are your collaborators, your sisters
Mm-hmm.
on the pageant journey. The only competition is the one that's looking back at you in the mirror to be the best woman you can be that day.
That's right.
That's it. You show up for that woman
Mm,
and you assist the ones around you.
yes. This is just so amazing. I'm in awe right now. I absolutely love everything that you are sharing with us. Y'all know you love it too, because this is uplifting and supporting other women without any strings attached, without any, e- energy that gives you like, oh, well, I'm better than you, that kind of thing. That's a rarity nowadays. People
It
don't
is.
really, you know what I mean? They'll say they are. They'll say you're my sister's keeper, whatnot, or I got your back, and all these other things. But when in action, that's really not the case, you know?
No.
So, to be able to do it in such a way where it, and now these women that you are helping, supporting, are now going to pass it along to the next woman, you know?
And let's be 100%, as they say. Well, let's be 100. Let's get 10
Uh,
toes down with it.
10 toes down.
Not everyone is going to get along,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
What you won't do, though, is dishonor or disrespect anybody in this system, because you don't have to do that to get your point across.
Right.
If you feel like you have to drag someone to make you look a particular way, you
Mm-hmm.
already are in the gutter and need to get yourself out. So I don't paint it as a fantasy now. A lot of the ladies do get along, but there are a couple that didn't. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But you're going
Mm-hmm.
to respect her.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to respect her
Mm-hmm.
because you earned a title. But just like you earn anything else, it can be taken from you,
That's
because
right.
you cannot get out here and represent this entity, this organization, be a brand ambassador and not embrace the tenets of the organization.
Amen. Ugh.
And that should go beyond pageantry or anything else. If
That's
you
right.
say that you are a woman of God and you out here doing the two, doing the two, what I'm trying to not say this because I don't want anybody's child to be on here. But if you're doing the high pro whole program, you got to reevaluate what it is that you are. I'm not
That's
saying
right.
that you can't be a high pro ho, that's your choice. But you can't be that, but say you're a woman of God. You
That's
have to
right.
be in alignment with what you say and who you are.
Mm-hmm. You
And we
have to.
often are not that. And when you have that kind of contradiction, you cannot have any peace.
Yes.
You cannot
Yes.
be true to yourself when you are lying on one level or the other.
Mm-hmm. Look, Charlamagne says, say that respect, you gonna respect her. Okay. That's just that's what
That's
you're
just
gonna do.
what it is.
That it is. Um, and Mosaic Sparks says that her sister is a code enforcement supervisor and she wears steel toe boots and khakis. So when you were speaking to, some women just don't get to express themselves through the clothes. I can very much relate to that. I didn't get to do that for a very long time unless I was off duty, and that was only for a small period of time,
Right.
1 or 2 hours, right? So you get a glimpse, but you don't get the full gamut of really understanding that. And then Charlene also commented, no strings, hinted, excuse me, hidden agendas, drama. More of that is needed in the forefront, right? To speak to, that's not what we doing in here. Okay. If you want to do that, then maybe find another place for you to go, and you can do that all day long there. They said that part is key. Respect for one another is the foundation for a healthy environment. Because sometimes it's the narrative that women just can't work together. Like y'all can't be in here. Y'all gonna get jealous. Somebody gonna cuss somebody out. Somebody gonna be like, saying these things bad about her. But if you are the leader of an organization and you share with them, this is what we're doing, how we're doing, and then hold people accountable to that, then they people start learning, right? They'll start adjusting.
Either you adjust or you leave,
You leave, yeah. Yeah,
because it's not for you. And that's
that's
okay too.
yeah.
I will say this, my best friend is also my national director of Southern Region. She lives in Georgia. She is the practical one. She is the one. I'm out here like, we're gonna do this, this, and this. And she goes, okay, let me put that on my spreadsheet. I need to know how much that costs. And, she makes sure that we are not just out here floating in the hemisphere. Because if it were up to me, we would be way out doing some way out stuff. But we have been best friends for over 30 years, and we have
Mhm.
not fallen out one time
Wow.
in 30 years
Yes.
because the foundation of our relationship is love, respect,
Yes.
and grace. Because
Yeah.
women need to learn, in my humble opinion, to give other women grace and to
Mhm.
give yourself some grace.
That's right.
So we have, like I said, over 30 years not fallen out once. And I can count on a couple of hands and maybe a foot how many days we have not spoken every day in those 30 years.
Mm.
Not because we have to, but because I want to make sure you're okay. What you doing today, girl? It may not be anything going on, but just I want to share a joke with you. I want, it doesn't have to be heavy, it doesn't have to be deep. It can
Yep.
be anything. But she is the sister that my parents did not give birth to.
Yeah.
And therefore our connection and our relatability is supremely important to me.
And that's a beautiful thing, Ria. It's such a beautiful thing, and it's again, it's a rarity to have a friend for that long period of time, and with no falling out. Because
No.
sometimes we we just we're like, we done, right? And just move on, right? So that is absolutely beautiful. And all everybody's saying awesome, beautiful friendship. They love that because, you know, again, if I could have someone, I do have a day one sister from my Air Force days, and we are the type person to pick up the phone at any point in time. We don't talk every day, but when we do, Lord knows we on the phone 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. So, it's so good to have women in your circle, that you could just talk to and just, give them anything from very simple to deep if it needs to go there, right? So,
Yes. And I've learned that Pam and I are from similar backgrounds. We have some stark differences, but in general, as far as socioeconomics, all that, we're from similar backgrounds.
yeah.
But sometimes it benefits you to have a friend from a totally different background.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have one of those named Marcia because she gives me another way to look at things that I would not have considered.
That's right. Yeah.
And she's walked a walk that I didn't even know was a path you could take.
Right.
And in saying that, you have, again, a more open way to look at other people's lives than just, if it's not my way, it's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So, just another thought.
Yeah. And I really like that a lot. Because again, we were all from the same area. What more can you bring to the relationship? I like the depth, and how you can explore ideas that one wasn't, even thinking about, and sharing that and talking that through. So that's so beautiful. I love what you're saying. And Charlene says she's blessed to have these type of women in her life. So, I am so grateful that, a lot of us do have some women that we can look to, and we can, uh, be in communion with, if you will. So we definitely need that because sisterhood is a thing. Okay. Community is a thing. So, you also talked a little bit about, multi entrepreneurship. So you've got the pageant that you working in, then you got real estate. And first, let me tell you, you got your license, or you can do business in Indiana, where I'm from Indiana. I'm from Kokomo, Indiana.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you said that, I was like, oh, okay. So, how did you get into real estate?
My great grandparents bought a three flat in a neighborhood in Chicago called Woodlawn back in the late 1930s. 30s when Black folks were not welcome in that
Mm,
community. But
mm-hmm,
my great grandfather was an AME minister, so he was a quote unquote safe Negro.
mm.
And the idea was my grandmother would live on the second floor, my great aunt would live on the third floor, which is what it was. It was a family building for a long time. My grandmother lived there until she died, as did my great grandmother. My great aunt moved out. But my father and mother, after they bought my childhood home, my father got into real estate investing. And I saw how important it was, especially in communities where people did not have the knowledge or the financing to purchase for themselves, but needed a decent place to live.
Right.
So I thought about it as I was getting older, as part of, again, what is my legacy going to be for my son and his family if he has one.
Mm-hmm,
And I was like, let me get into real estate to help not just my son build his portfolio, but help other people achieve their dreams. So I got licensed in Illinois first, because I live here in Chicago. I can
mm-hmm,
throw a rock really hard and hit Hammond, Indiana, for those of you that are familiar with this area. And so I said,
mm-hmm,
well, why not? Why not work on both sides of the border? So I got licensed in Indiana also in 2017. I got licensed in Illinois at the beginning of 2017, Indiana at the end of 2017. And I actually do work both sides of the border. So I spend a lot of time in Lake County, Indiana, and a
mm-hmm.
lot of time in Cook, Will, and Kankakee County in Illinois.
Yep.
And I love it. I love seeing people downsize when your children are gone and your health has changed and you need someplace else to stay, or those new families where you have babies and you're starting
Mm-hmm.
out on a new journey of life with your new spouse, and you want to be somewhere that you want to be,
Yeah.
somewhere that you're comfortable, and taking them through those steps. I love it. I work with buyers and I work with sellers.
Wow. You know what? You just look at you. You just doing a lot of different things that I see as purpose driven missions, if you will, like things that you've already. I mean, like this stuff is just coming to you, and you're just flowing into it.
Well, what I flowed into was Ghana. That's what I
Yes.
flowed into. I had two trips last year. I went to Punta Cana as a realtor, and it was okay. Let me not throw any shade there, but if I never go to Punta Cana again, I'm all right with that. I wasn't. Every space is not for everyone,
That's right.
and that space was not for me. So I said, you know what? Let me no longer hold a license to sell in Punta Cana. Let me just see. That December of last year, I went with Sigma Gamma Rho to Ghana. And when I tell you, when I stepped off the plane, I felt like I had come home. And I'm
Mm.
not saying that as an exaggeration. I'm saying that as the truth. Like I said, because Punta Cana, I felt like I was like, yeah, all right. But in Ghana, it felt like home. And there are investors there who are building, here we call them condos
Yeah.
and townhomes. They are building communities for people from the United States as well as from internationally to invest in and purchase in Ghana. You have the option to retire there. I know some people that have done that. You have the option of having a version of Airbnb there, because there are a lot of now in this world digital nomads where they go on assignments places 2 3 weeks, maybe 2 3 months, but they're not going to stay
Right.
forever. They need
Right.
a place to be in. You're not going to stay at a 5-star hotel that long. You're just not.
Right.
So there are so many opportunities there. Accra, which is the capital of Ghana, just became the sister city of Savannah, Georgia in February of this year. They were
Did not know
talking about, oh yeah, they have been discussing an NFL training camp to be based in Ghana. There are just so many different reasons. This is their time from September to late February, early March. Ghana was alive and popping.
that.
When
Wow.
we were there with Afro Future, which is their big 2 3 day concert. We went to the Cape Coast to
Mhm.
the Door of No Return. And when I tell you
Mm.
that was transformational for real,
Was. Oh.
when I stepped in that dungeon, the female dungeon was the first place I went on the tour. And I could feel myself wheezing. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And the tour guide, now mind you, it's a job for him.
Mm-hmm.
The tour guide said, yes, this is the women's room, the female dungeon. They had like 4 little slats for windows, and they had a little naked light bulb just for our benefit. They didn't have that back then, of course. And he said it just like this. This is where the women ate, slept, urinated, defecated, menstruated, and sometimes were raped. What?
What?
Girl, when I tell you my heart almost fell off on the floor. I was like, oh my God. And I could feel for anyone that's an empath, you
Yeah,
feel that.
you
And I was
do.
like, let me just go through the door of no return. My best friend and I went together. Her husband told us to do this when we got there. He said, I want you to step out of that door and look up at that sky and know that where you're standing, our ancestors last saw that sky in that same space.
Wow.
And I did that. And then I had to go, I had to go get a breathing treatment. I was like,
Oh,
I
look.
can't manage it. But it was heart wrenching when they talked about how, now mind you, it took us 4 hours on the bus. They talked about how many days they were walking to get chained to other people, how some of the that lived more inland had never seen the ocean, and they thought that they were being sacrificed to ocean gods and killed themselves instead. How so
Mm.
many of them were raped by the men because if you didn't get time to get in that boat that you left, you so that's how some of them were on the boat already pregnant because you've been raped over and over.
Oh.
And it just really it made me understand that I owe somebody. I owe a whole lot of somebodies. I'm standing on some
Mm.
shoulders that were bent but not broken,
Mm.
that allowed me to have the benefits
Yes.
that I have today. And I
Right.
cannot acknowledge that without giving someone something back.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I am going again this December on a real estate tour. I'm going again the end of February, beginning of March for another real estate tour with my vision being going 2 to 3 times a year to take other people to have not just the real estate experience, but the
Yeah.
cultural immersion as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience there. And allowing us to be reminded that we are on we need to think about the shoulders of the giants that were before us, and we're standing on them, and we have a duty, if you will, to pay it forward in the way that we can, the way that the talents, the gifts, the experience, skills that we are given. How can we pay it forward in our communities? How can we pay it forward with the people that are in our sphere of influence? So I absolutely like. I love the stories that you just shared with us. I too went to Curacao, and they had a whole museum. I was there for deployment for military, but they had a whole museum, and I was in there. And I was like, "Oh Lord, I don't know." My husband, he's like, because he came and visited while I was there. It was a whole thing, y'all. He came for our first anniversary and surprised me. And we were walking around. I said, I don't know. I'm gonna make it in here. I don't know if I'm gonna make it because this is a lot. So, yeah. A Mosaic Spark says, I owe somebody. Thank you for that phrase. So yes, and just wild. It is wild to think of what exactly happened to our people. Okay, as we had came over here on not on our will. All right, we were brought over here, and some did not make it. So yes, so thank you so much for sharing that. And I do want to lighten up the conversation just a bit because you've also have a book. All right, you're debuting a book, and it's titled, let me get this right now, Queen. You said, girl, bye. 10 lies women think and tell themselves about men. Like, where did
Yes.
this come from?
Having worked in domestic violence court, I saw so
Ah,
many different variations of relationships.
uh-huh.
And also having had my own little escapades and my friends, and I have one friend in particular, and I would say, girl, bye. Why are you still dealing with this? What is what is going on? And I sat down, and it was actually a challenge to write a book in 90 days. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the challenge. And that had been on my mind to do, like I said, for a few years. And
Yeah.
I broke down 10 lies that I know my friends and I discuss amongst ourselves in our now more mature time, where we were like, oh, what were we thinking about then? And for example, one of the lies was the platinum PUSSY package, where you think
Okay,
that
y'all.
because your vagina can smoke a cigarette and blow out the smoke out your tail, that he's going to be down with you.
What?
Now, listen, I have a cousin who is, and they used to call them just straight strippers. I don't, I think there's a new term, exotic dancers now, whatever. And she could smoke a cigarette there, and that was cool, okay. But that's not going to keep him. That is
Mm,
not going to keep him. A man that does not want to be kept will not be kept.
no.
There are women that believe that because you have a man's child, that baby mama, quote unquote, which I cannot stand that phrase, is a
Me
title.
neither.
Doctor is a title.
Mm,
Minister is a title.
mm.
Mrs. is a title. Baby's mama is not a title. So we
That's
have
not
those
cute.
kinds of conversations.
That's for a whole nother show. That's like, listen, y'all. We gonna have to pair her up with someone from the community, because you know me, I'll be like, "Ah, that's hot and spicy. That is hot and spicy talk right there." But it is true.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people, or I'll say a lot of women, who try to keep a man from doing, and doing certain things, and think that that's the way to them. And it's just, I don't know where we're going.
it's it's beyond the keeping of the man. In a lot of cases, it's also, you remember the old rap song? I think it was Salt and Pepper. Don't turn your back, cause I'll take your man.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and you say that with pride. Oh, okay, that's how we're doing that. Which
Right.
we don't understand that you can't take unless you are abducting someone. You can't take anybody. He chose to go.
He
Number
chose to.
two, be mindful that just like you quote unquote took him, the next chick who can smoke a cigarette, make it clap and smack and all that is going to take him too down the
That's
road,
right. That's right.
because he's one in the market to be taken wherever the wind blows. He's not interested in being your man. He's interested in being with you right now.
Hmm.
And let me say this because this is really to me important. Ladies, we have to stop making assumptions about what this is that we're in.
Mm.
One of the examples in the book, and all of the examples are real life situations and real life people. I have an associate. They're not friends of mine. Well, the guy is deceased now. May he rest in peace. But the
Mm.
young lady was so excited. She's like, I'm engaged and da 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 da. Was picking out bridesmaids dresses and all this.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw the gentleman, I was like, hey, congratulations. He was like, thank you. For what? I said, on your engagement. He said, who am I engaged to? I said, okay, hold on, wait a minute. I said, wait a minute. You don't live, you live with so and so, right? He said, yeah. I said, y'all getting married now? He said, I never told her that. I never even told her I was her man. I said, hold on. What?
What?
He said, I never told her that. So you have a whole man and his Xbox in your house, sleeping in the same bed with him, having more baby oil than they alleged Diddy had in his house to do whatever you're doing. And you never clarify with him who he is to you and who you are to him. Oh, and that was his out. I never told her that. And I was done, as in stick a fork in me. The chicken has been overcooked. I'm done.
Ah, that. Got the whole wedding already planned out and everything. Okay.
Oh
Come
yeah.
on, y'all. What we doing? What we doing? All right. Charlie was like a whole ton of miscommunication. It's just a mess. That's a mess. But you know what? If it didn't happen, right, you wouldn't have put it in the book. And so
Oh
these
no.
things,
I wait. We got witnesses. I'm like,
right?
I got receipts on all of these because I'm like, because people wouldn't believe it, but
That's
it happens a lot. It
right.
happens a lot. Not to
Yeah.
necessarily to that extreme with folks planning whole weddings, but you'll have a guy tell, his male friends that that's my woman. But he tells
Hmm.
female friends, oh, that's, we just cool.
That's right. That's
You have
it.
to know what your title is, not by your definition, but by you and his definition. Now, y'all,
That's
what
right.
was that old song? Who is he and what is he to you? You better know.
What is
Better
it to you?
know.
Oh my gosh. Woo.
I'm sorry, Rochelle. I didn't mean to have you laughing like this on a Sunday, child. But yes, you gotta find out. Gotta get some clarification
That's
on this
right.
whole situation.
Look, this is a lot of laughing, which we all need. All right, we all need the laughter in our lives. So I love it that you just told us all this stuff because this is a mess. People are just in a whole lot of just craziness right now.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you wrote the book because then maybe you'll save somebody, all right, a whole lot of heartache. For what they know, like they already thinking one way, he getting some wise sound counsel. That's not it. Okay. Whew.
I actually just had a conversation today with my publisher. We're going to do a teen edition
Mm.
because I have with the platinum PUSSY package chapter, I just couldn't
Yeah.
get that as far
Yeah.
as children. And she was like, let me look at this again, see what we can modify, because my goal is to reach young ladies before they become broken, bitter women.
Mm.
So as my mama said, sometimes you don't have to buy the lesson, you can borrow it.
Mm.
I want them to borrow these lessons and therefore they don't have to walk that walk.
Right. Broke and bitter. That's the now. That's it right there. You know, I'm trying. I'm 52. Okay, I be trying to relate, all right, to some women that I see out here, and they just mad. They angry. They upset, and it's just spewing a lot of hatred and discontent. I'm like, what is going on, baby? Baby, what's going on? Okay. But I can't pull them aside, Queen, and just be talking to them because it just be a whole thing. But I'm just like, it is just I see the change and the shift that is happening in the world, especially with our young ones. And so, writing a book that speaks to them to make them a better understanding of relationships and what the meanings of what people are saying to them and what that's about. Yes, like anything that supports that cause, I'm here for it.
Yeah, just be aware
Being aware.
because a lot of times, I know when I walked out of my parents' house, I thought I knew a whole lot. Girl, I didn't know my head from a hole in the ground. And when you don't know, people can tell you things and it sounds right, but
Yeah,
it isn't.
it isn't.
And you'll fall victim to it, thinking that you're in a whole different type of circumstance than what's really going on.
Yeah.
So even this comfort with calling each other the B word, which is line number 10, it's all right for him or her to call you a B. It's not. When I was growing up, my great aunts told me somebody call you that you beat the brakes off of them.
Beat the brakes.
Beat the brakes off of her because she meant to disrespect you. And we don't take no disrespect around here.
No, no.
And now it's so common. I'm like, but you all do understand. I don't care how you change the meaning of the word. The word is a female dog. That means they're calling
Yeah.
you a dog.
Yeah.
And there's
Yep.
nothing cute about it. I don't care how many bows you put in a dog's hair, it's still a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And when a man calls you that, he's disrespecting you. He's
Yeah.
dishonoring you.
Yeah.
When your friend calls you that, even though you all both may call each other that, you don't even recognize that you're disrespecting and dishonoring her and yourself.
That's right.
We
Yeah.
don't have that capacity anymore to stay. I'm not on the always, they go low, we go high. I'm not always. Sometimes, I'll go in the middle, but we don't want to
That's
stay on an upward trajectory for ourselves. I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, they call her sexy red. I used to call her dirty red. I couldn't remember her name. But I'm like, y'all talking about all this kind of filth and foolishness. And then you want somebody to treat you like a queen.
Queen. Mm-hmm. Walking on the red
Queens
carpet.
don't, Queens not out here talking about licking people in the butt and all this other stuff. That's not, you have to be on one team or the other. You got to pick a side.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you want to be on the dirty girl squad, that's cool. But then don't trip when you are treated like a dirty girl.
Yeah. Girl. There's a whole word in here, y'all. All right. And you heard it from here. That's
That's right. That's right.
right. You heard it from the Slate to Success talk show. And we've been here for over an hour yet, and I knew we would because it was just the energy. I was like, she's gonna be giving, giving, giving. So I know we're gonna be over a little bit, but I do want to just make a acknowledgement, if you will. You are a multi entrepreneur, following in purpose driven missions, taking on, topics and, some of the things in the world that are maybe controversial, but they are high impactful when you were talking about the trajectory of our society and our future leaders, our future, needing to be educated and aware of how to be respected and how having that self-love for yourself, and that is the things that we want to hold on to. So I thank you so much for taking on this journey and the path and for being here on the show. Okay, because um, I have guests here. We range a whole lot of topics, but we can go from having business, okay, conversations to real life, real situations that are happening in the world today. So thank you so much for being here. And so we have a few minutes just left, maybe 2 or 3 minutes here. So tell the audience again what your legacy is going to be on your 80th birthday, when all your family, your friends are around you, all right, and they having the gala, because it's gonna be a gala, okay. What would you want them to say about Ria?
That she dedicated herself to the truth no matter the cost.
Mm, yes, dedicated herself to the truth no matter the cost. I absolutely love that. And you're doing it. So, this is just the beginning and you just walking through it, right? So, y'all, this has been a Slay Amazing show for number one. I do want to acknowledge all of my guests that were here tonight with us live. So we had Mia, Mosaic Sparks, Kim, Charlene, Perlissa. Who else in here? I think there we go. And y'all gave up a lot of value in here on these comments. So thank you so much for doing that. And for anybody who comes back for the replay, okay, make sure you put in hashtag replay so we know that you were here and you were listening to the show. And let us know what some of your takeaways are from this conversation that we had. Because you guess what's going to happen next week? We're going to have another Slay Amazing guest at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Sunday. Y'all be here, okay? Because we will have a guest. And, take this week, have a great week this week. Think about the things that you can change and make impact in not only your life, but the lives of other people, y'all. And keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. Okay. So, Ria, do you have any last parting words for our audience members?
Look in the mirror, find what you like about that person, and stand on that. And the things
Mm,
that you don't like as much, pray to God for elimination and transformation.
mm. And with that, y'all, we are going to end tonight's show. So, thank you so much, Ria.
Thank you for having me.
And you're welcome, dropping these gems. And I'll see you at the next Milestone Makers Zoom call. Y'all pray for us because we in there and
Slugging it out, girl. Slugging it out as best we can. Woo, yes.
y'all, we will let you know the ins and outs of this once we're done. But right now, it's looking a mess. So I'm just saying that right now. Okay.
Peace and
Camilla,
blessings, sweetheart, in the name of Jesus.
in the name of Jesus. Kim said that was deep. Bye bye. See y'all later. Have a great week.